Yo, 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 in a bottle of rum. What's up, people? I guess I can still do that, even though we've kind of revamped my content on the public side. I guess I can still do that. I'm allowed to do that. I don't have to have my pinky in the sky all the time, right? I can still let loose a little bit, and people can handle it and not get all, hurt behind the butt tissue. Start screaming bloody murder. What's up, everybody? It is your boy, MM2K of PNTS Network and StadiaDosage, and I'm back again with another SLS featuring MM2K. Glad to be back. Hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. I had a pretty good weekend. This weekend is going to be even better, and I'll explain why. As soon as my keyboard wants to work. Nothing's working for me today. I said, we're going to kick this week off better than we have because the show is now airing at a new time. People may be confused. So we don't want to get off on the wrong foot. Let's start the show off on time at 1 p.m. on the dot. And then things just didn't work. Keyboard didn't work. Transitions didn't work. OBS didn't want to work, which is a bunch of fun stuff. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody for coming through. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. This is going to be a hell of a show. We're going to have some fun. Also, what I need to do too is, look, it wouldn't hurt if we had some of this going, right? Some of that, right? Some of the music. I'm just tweeting this out. I see some of y'all in the chat. Thank y'all very much. The last comment that I want to make, just in general, is if you are waiting for a gift, well, not a gift, but like a prize, like a Stadia premiere or something like that, and you still haven't received it from our multitude of, what do you call it? Our multitude of giveaways. Definitely let me know. The only person, I'll break it down like this, and I deeply apologize. Shout out to Geek to Sneak and A and G. Those are the two that I'm aware of right now. We got Geek to Sneaks out. I don't know, everyone's like, Geek to Sneak again? Yeah. Look, the brother participates. He participates, and you put in, you receive. We try to tell y'all people we were giving stuff out like hotcakes last month and this summer in general. So Geek to Sneak was a multiple benefactor. Could have been you, but anywho, and then there was our final winner, and his package is international. So I moved. This is the first international package that I've had to send since we've had these. Since I moved, everybody's been domestic, and the international people, y'all haven't been participating that much. I'm saddened by that because we've had you haven't been participating on my stuff, and that saddens me because we got a lot of stuff to give out, and we want to make sure that y'all are. That you guys, are recipients of all this tasty goodness as well. And what ended up happening was, because this was my first international package, I didn't realize that the post office I had a problem with my old post office. I said, screw you. I'm in a better area anyway now, with my pinky in the sky, cause I gotta fit the role now, because now I got to be MM2 Keegley. I can't be MM2K. I got to be MM2 Keegley. The K and MM2K now stands for Keegley. What do I mean by that? Well, now I gotta kind of hold my pinky in the sky and act all dapper dear, and I can't be my rambunctious self, or that's what gets me in trouble. And a lot of this public facing stuff, right? I didn't want to have to do that. I didn't want to have to do that all the way at first, but it looks like I got to do that. Had a problem with my old post office at my old place of residence. now that we got our new house, well, it's not new anymore. It's almost been here for a year. But now that we got the house, the last thing that I had to do was move my P.O. box to somewhere locally. I said, screw you guys, you keep messing things up. I'm gonna move this locally. And for some reason, I've never heard of this before in my life. Our local post office does not do international packages. Never heard of it. Never heard of it. And the crazy thing about it too is our local post office does UPS. I said, hold on, are you guys an official post office, or are you like some third party thing? Like, no, we're an official post office. It's just, we're kind of like a satellite thing. I've never heard of it before, but I'll call a postmaster. I know him around here and ask them, what the hell is this? What is this by my house? But anywho, if you have any packages that you haven't received yet, we've had a couple that people didn't receive, so I don't know what happened. We just had so much stuff. I said, the hell with it. We just sent more. So if you haven't received anything, let me know. We'll check the records, make sure that you get what you're supposed to get. Again, I got one package going internationally to Italy. That's the last that I know of. If there's any more, let me know. And it's like stuff that we talked about here, as far as like those that are doing the super thanks and the super chat. It's those donations that I had, those packages that I was responsible for sending out. Jack had some and some other people had some. Everybody else was responsible enough to get theirs out on time. Y'all know me. A shout out to everybody. Do us a huge favor. Let people know that we're live, okay? So we can get this show on the road. We got some, we're going to be doing it a little bit different. I'm going to explain in a little bit. We're going to be doing this a little different. So let me explain. And then we're going to get things on the road. Okay, I want to tweet this there. I got one last place that I want to drop this. I want to drop this here, and there you go. There goes the mammy jammy that stiffed me for the work that he was supposed to be doing for me. But that's a whole nother story. I'll leave that one alone, because I end up getting a better job done anyway. All right, I want to tweet this out to one last place. Let's see here, PNTS Network. Do this. Hold on. I got to close this out. That's what I got to do. We got to open this up, and then I'm going to shout you guys out in the chat. Okay, I get it. I'm running out of storage. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to Twitter. We want to go here. Yes, we want to go here. And then we want to do this. YouTube. There we go. Oh, not no damn YouTube game. Well, whatever. Put this one up here. Oh, come on. Stop it. The hell is going on here? All right. Tweet that out. And I'm going to go one last place. And we're going to retweet it. There we go. Our good friends at PNTS Network just tweeted that. Wink, wink. All right. So let me find this story. Shout out to everybody. Thank you for coming through. Appreciate y'all. Give me one more moment, because I want to put this story up on the headboard so we can get ready to rock and roll and talk about the changes that are happening to kind of to the format of the show. And then we can just get right into your questions. One more thing. All right. Where is the article? Let me see. Let's do it like this, because we already did we kind of already did something on it. There it goes. No, that's not it. Where is the? No, that's not it. Where's let me see. Mutt? Yeah. Okay, there we go. Jesus Christ. No, but it's not that one. It's from the let's do Real Sports 101. Jesus Christ. Sports 101. All right, let's do this. Because we see this, I don't like Google searches anymore. I don't like this. I got to be honest with you. I'm not a Google consumer fan. A lot of people that are part of the community are Google consumer fans, and I'm not one of those. We'll do from this one until today. Because look at this. Come on, man. Like, I got the story in one. This is crazy. All right, so I got to do this. This is god awful because Google search is all over the place now. It's not reliable. Now, I had the story in one place. Madden. More, I don't want more videos. I just want the news. We're gonna find it. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't like Google anymore. Like way back when Google first came out, Google searches, like they were so spot on. Here it goes. So now, what do I have to do? I'll do this. I'll share this on Twitter. And that way I can bookmark it. This is ridiculous. Now, I was able to pull it up that fast on looking on Google via Chrome, but when I look at the same Google search via Mozilla, it gives me a problem, which doesn't make sense. I'm not a fan of all Google products. I like Chromebooks. They're cool. The Pixel phones I think are great. But I'm not one that's running out here trying to get Google stuff or give them accolades for things. They're very, very unorganized. Everything is not common across the board as the way it should be. And I think that's Google's biggest Achilles heel as a product maker is the disorganization that it has across devices. Like, it's very clear that the internal teams don't really work well together at first. Like, there's the coordination is porous. And as someone who I've been notorious for being a stickler for organization. Like, some of my biggest rages fits at work. Yes, I've had a couple. Not a whole lot. I've had some rage fits at work, but some of the maybe a handful. It's not bad in like 25 years to have a handful of rage fits at work. But of the rage fits that I've had, they've all been around organization. I do not like disorganization. I do not like it at all. Sometimes I'm too organized. That's me. That's just how I operate, but I don't like disorganization. So this stuff like grinds my gears. All right, so now that I found it, let's go to MM2K's page. And now we have the story right here. Okay, all right. But before we get into all that, again, tweet this out, let everybody know that we're live. We're gonna have some great discussions today. Let's get into the chat. First and foremost here, let's do this. Rundown, theme, social. Here we go. All right. Sanchez Gaming says, let's go. I'm here for an MM2K rant. The man from Uncle, hey, what's up, bro? I'm gonna get into some division on Wednesday. Wednesday's gonna be my day off, guys. I told you guys that I had to do this thing for my friend. I'm helping him with his business. And just some other personal things that I need to do. I started realizing that. Again, nothing against the community. I spent a lot of my free time into this because I really love Stadia. I really love interacting with the community. I don't have, this is a very light season for me at work. Things are not going to pick up until the end of January, maybe the beginning of February. And so I've been having a lot of fun with you guys and plugging a lot of time into researching things. And, like Sanchez says, going into my big rants, I don't wake up and say, oh, what am I mad about today? Like, there are hours and hours of research that goes into the stuff that I talk about. And you normally don't hear about it until hours of research are done, or even days. So we've kind of cut back on that because a lot of the stuff is that type of content for me is a little bit more condensed. It's a lot more condensed for our members. And we're going to be playing a lot more games publicly. And then just opening the floor to you guys. So that's some of the biggest changes that are coming to the public format. You're going to see a lot more member content. You're still going to see the same amount of public content from me. But you're going to see a lot more member content from me because publicly, it's just going to be my opportunity to interact with you and get the pulse on you guys and see where you're coming from with stuff, and then just put the news out there. But I am taking Wednesdays off to handle some other business that I got going. But because I'm taking it off, I'll have more time to play games. So, man, from Uncle, I see Geek to Sneak in here. Shout out to Geek. Y'all ready to throw down? Just let me know, baby. Is this live or just live? Is this live or just live? This is SLS is always live. Can't do an open mic unless we're live. So this is always for the live people. It's Memorex, says Lugo. Jake says, who knows if it's live or live? No one knows what it means, but it gets the crowd going. Oh, okay. Okay, Sanchez, you did get yours? Yeah. Sorry, Sanchez. Sanchez was another one we had difficulty with. We sent his out and he never got it. So we just went and got another one. We had so many. And I don't know where they at. I had a problem where I had originally sold my PlayStation 5 on eBay around launch time. Because around then, there really wasn't nothing out except for, I forget, what's that name of that one game? I can't even think about it. And I was like, I can get this on PC. Even though it's on Epic, I don't want it playing on Epic, but it's a cool game, but it's nothing I need. And I was like, I'm satisfied with Stadia. A lot of people were saying that. A lot of people that now are like, they were rolling, and I get it after SG&E and after things pivoted for the company. People felt like they were better served elsewhere, and that's fine. That's not a problem. Gaming is a selfish hobby. But a lot of people were in that mode. And I was sitting there saying to myself, yeah, maybe this is foolish that I have a PlayStation right now. Maybe I'll get one later. And I tried to sell mine on eBay. Someone at the post office attempted to steal it. And then when I got a police report involved, wasn't only then, that, or not a police report, excuse me, when I did another type of inquiry, but did it like just pop up out of nowhere? So, you know, it's the type of stuff you got to deal with when you're dealing with people. You hate to see robots and stuff take over, but when it comes to places like the post office, I hate to say it, where it can, some of this heartache you ain't got to deal with. Like the theft at post offices. I get a lot of solicitation from credit cards, right? I get a lot of solicitation. I don't bite on them. But a lot of fake, you know how they send you this fake cards and stuff. And a lot of that mail, when it comes to my house, is opened. It's opened by the post, and they try to reseal it. Where I'm at now, I started off in the mail department. And there was an old trick that people would have. When they would want to open your mail and reseal it. There's a way to open it, and then there's a way to reseal it. And I know all those tricks. Never used them. I've seen people do it. But I know all those tricks. For a while, when I didn't have a post office, it's a funny story. My mother was at the post office around the same time I was too. Well, no. I wasn't at the post office. She was at the post office, and I was opening mail for, company I work for, when I was young. And instead of me having a post office box for certain things, and I don't have a lot of mail come home only because I don't trust people. And then also my wife has a bad habit of misplacing stuff. Like one time she just cleans and she just throws stuff everywhere. Like, well, I have like the biggest, bulkiest keys because for work, I have keys to like secret corridors and secret passages that lead to other buildings and stuff like that. So these keys, they feel like they're 50 pounds. She somehow threw away my keys, threw them in the garbage, and didn't even notice that she threw them in the garbage. So I don't trust my wife when it comes to handling my stuff. So I like to have a P.O. box. Stuff goes there. I go pick it up. You know what I'm saying? I'll go check it out. All that stuff. But the thing is that around here, I just choose to do that because you'll see. Well, the thing with my mother, she was opening my mail. I knew she was because she was using the same trick, but I can tell when you know the trick, you can tell when someone's opened your mail and tried to reseal it when you know the trick. And I said, yeah, it's time for me to get a P.O. box. God bless you, mother, but it's time for me to get a P.O. box. But yeah, thank goodness, Sanchez, you got your prize, and congratulations, brother. And thank you so much for your support, man. Dusty Aran says, yo, I was listening to OLR when I saw you go live. Oh, you was, hey, man. That's a fiery episode last night. It's hard for me to catch them at night because Sunday night in my house is a very active moment. I have to help my wife get ready for work because she doesn't remember where she's placed anything. So all I get all day is, babe, did you see where I put it? And I don't pay attention to where people put stuff. I'm very organized. Everything I put in the same place. So if it's not there, 999 times out of 100, someone touched it. That's how I know when someone's touched my stuff. My wife is not like that. She just throws stuff everywhere. So we spend Sunday night trying to find her badges and this, that, and the other. Well, we do it all the time. Even I can yell, I can cry bloody murder. Why isn't this stuff ready? And she just looks at me and laughs. Like I get no respect in my house. You know what I mean? A lot of people talk so much about, oh, that toxic masculinity. All you got to do is ignore it. Because that's what my family does. Like the women run this house. My daughters run this house. I don't even live here. You know, like my daughter called me the other day and asked me what I was doing with her brother. Like, you know, was I doing this to her brother? And was like trying to chastise me. Is it nothing? Nothing. He wasn't in danger. He wasn't hurt or anything. But why I need to take him to this one place that he wants to go to, regardless of me being upset with him or not. Like, it wasn't in a conversation. It was just like, I'm going to talk to you, and proceeded to talk to me like I was 2 years old. Now, did I listen to her? No. Hell no. But, and after several times of me, this is the same child I've always have this problem with. She's very protective of her siblings, but she's the youngest of my daughters too. She's very protective of her siblings, and me and her always go back and forth. She's like me. She doesn't stand down, I don't stand down. Nobody pays any attention to me. So when I sit there and say, this is the way of the world, because I said so, damn it. They just look at me and laugh. Nobody pay me no damn attention. So yeah, that's Sundays are real big in my house for getting my wife together. So it's very difficult, Dusty, for me to listen to them live anymore. It's been years since I listened to them live. And honestly, there was only a small segment of when I did listen to them that I did listen to them live. Because what would happen is they helped me get through my work week. Like, the shows are long. Like, if you guys think that my shows are horrible, which it still is horrible and compared to any time that they may put out there. Yeah, their shows but they run their shows like, it's not like your atypical podcast. It's like sitting down at the Twit network, and they were Twit before Twit was Twit. Vog was Twit before Twit was Twit. That's why they're pioneers. That's why it was important for me to get them on. I mean, it's great to get voices from the outside to try to, you know, share their thoughts on Stadia. Like, I've done that before. Like, I had my broadband bully brethren come in here and try to talk sense to the community when we were all in an uproar at the end of 2020 about Cyberpunk. And they were, or something, no, it was something, because we didn't get something. It wasn't Cyberpunk. I think by then Cyberpunk was already deemed to have been day and date. It was some other game that we weren't getting at the end of the year. And Stadia gamers were like, oh, see, this is it. This is, you know, every moment causes this heartburn. Oh, there it is. Stadia's gonna die and fail today. So I called to the crew. And I said, look, I need y'all to do me a favor. And I called the most, and look, just to prove my point, these were not people that were in the business of making excuses for Stadia. If you listen to my there is nobody in the broadband bullies except for me that likes Stadia. None of them. None of them. They're console warriors to the fullest. Now, there was a sector of us that tried to branch off into PC gaming, but it didn't work. It just didn't work. I was part of that movement. It was me, Nethos, my brother J-Dub. Shout out to J-Dub. I hope, we still praying for you, brother. Hope everything is going well, man. J-Dub and my brother Noah, Mansamua. Shout out to Noah. I see you out there hitting that gym. Don't make the old man turn it up. Even though I got tendonitis and everything, I can't do it. But don't make me hurt myself to turn it up. I see you out there, Noah. But shout out to my brothers. What was I gonna say? Oh, yeah. So we tried to branch off to PC. Didn't work. So my broadband bully brethrens, they are not ones to make excuses for Stadia. So this wasn't me bringing somebody on to make excuses for Stadia, but we had to have this is when I was, this is pre MM2K, when I was still having a coming to Jesus moments with the community. And at the end of 2020, I brought my brother Mansamu on. He ain't too harsh with the words, very well spoken, very nice spoken too, but he gets right to the point. And I had Noah explain to everybody during SML that y'all talking about Stadia missed its golden goose and it's done. Look, let me explain. Let me explain something to y'all, and y'all gonna have to understand this for a while. He said, "Look, bro, we got 3,000 series cards coming out, PlayStation 5s, Xbox Series X's, and other things happening too. Nintendo, it was rumored that Nintendo was coming out with a new possible Nintendo." Let me explain something to you. This is his words. Ain't nobody think about no cloud gaming. Ain't nobody think about no Stadia at no mass level. He said his Stadia could have been hitting on all levels. Nobody at no mass level is caring about. We're not even. It's not even a fathomable thought to the general gamer. He said, "I'm more than glad to come out here and tell y'all this, because I don't like Stadia." You know what I'm saying? And I represent, but I'm telling y'all in a nice way, and I represent the majority of gamers. And you fast forward 2 years later, basically from that, the needle has not moved that much. You'll see some Xbox gamers say, "Look, I was on vacation and I was able to get in some Destiny or whatever on xCloud or whatever," and they'll show a little still of them. Even my brother, the same brother Mansamua, did it. Because cloud gaming to them is just a one-off. It's an auxiliary function. It's nothing to really be taken seriously. It's like direct to YouTube streaming or something. It's not even, no. It's cloud gaming to the average gamer right now isn't even that important. Now I know this is making a lot of people upset, but no. I'm just telling y'all the truth. That doesn't mean that cloud gaming can't be successful. It definitely will be. It's growing at a very fast rate, a rate faster than VR. I'm not saying that it has more adapters than VR, because VR came out considerably sooner. You know what I mean? But considerably, it's been out on the market considerably longer. But the rate that cloud gaming is growing is faster than VR. It's impressing the analysts over its potential long-term success. But those same analysts are telling you that cloud gaming is not going to be a formidable alternative or option for the average gamer for a while now. The last time I saw projections in 2029, the projections have been cloud gaming is like going to be anywhere between 5 to 8% of the business. That's not a formidable option. It's a growing option. It's a more relevant option. And I think you kind of see that the more and more you look on Twitter, you're starting to see more and more people like, "Oh yeah, I love Stadia. Stadia's great." Yeah, I mean, you still see a lot of bashing. You still see, "Oh, how is this thing still alive?" You still see a lot of that, but you see a lot more people willingly coming out and saying no, defending the experience. I love it. It's great. I normally wouldn't have been able to do this and do that. Where 2 years ago, you didn't see that. It was just a handful of us that were willing to get into the trenches and duke it out and prove the naysayers wrong. So it's going to grow, but we got to get over this hump and this belief that all it's going to take. And Clive said this very perfectly, as he always does. He said it on episode 100 of SSC Podcast. If you didn't hear it, I'd urge you to hear it. He said, look, this is not something that you're going to flip a switch on and it's going to happen. It's going to take time. It's just going to be gradual, incremental things that over time, it's just going to become a norm. That's what happened with digital gaming. Like, remember 2013 with DRM? Oh, hell no. I don't get to own a game, which you never owned it anyway, but whatever. And then now you look at 2022, it's part of the norm. Certain studies are showing that more console gamers in various regards have more digital copies of games than they do physical copies. So, and guess what? That was a 9-year process. That was a 9-year process since when they first tried to push that on consoles to today. And that was something that was more to the meat and potatoes of mainstream gaming. Now look at it. Now PlayStation 5 digitals, which I have one, and other digital, consoles are doing fine. So just keep that in mind, that this is not something, there's not a silver bullet here. Everybody's tried it. They're going to keep trying. They wouldn't be Fortune 500 businesses if they didn't try to overleap projections. That's what they do. They don't just sit there and say, oh, we're at 5% of the market and that's what we're going to try. No, they sit there, they got their think tanks, everybody gets together and they come up with new ideas to overshoot the projections so they can separate themselves from their peers and get more investors and get more money and rinse and repeat. So everybody's going to try to overshoot the projections. Google did it when they thought they was going to get 1 million gamers after 14 months. No, didn't work. Xbox thought they were going to do it when they talked about how we're going to get the, Xbox Series server blades out there. And, they started mass marketing that to everybody. And then people accessed it and they said, doo-doo soup. They stopped it. GFN tried it with the, with just flipping the switch without having extra deals established, and all the games that they supported in beta, they thought they could just support in their retail form. And then I got shut down. So everybody's tried it and they're going to keep trying it. And some see some incremental success, but there's not going to be a silver bullet that's going to take this from 4% of the business to 60% of the business from one action. It's going to be these incremental things that have a long-lasting effect over time. And that's why the analyst projections are what they are. And the analysts seem to be right. The curve that they predicted have seemed to be right, where everybody else has either overshot the moon or underestimated what it was capable of in the demographic, and they were wrong. So, very interesting stuff. Yo, says Nix, we go hard. Oh yeah, but back to OLR. Catch them every Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I recommend that if your Sundays are free enough and you can just listen to stuff while you're cutting the grass or doing work around the house, whatever it is that you do, get ready to start your day. This is what 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. is Bobby Blackwolf. You got to listen to Bobby. And then they're the perfect 1-2 punch. And then OLR, they're from like 8 to midnight sometimes. Anywhere between 11 at night to midnight Eastern is when they end. But they got a lot of great gaming content that they cover. You definitely should listen to them. They cover a lot of great stuff, and I love listening to them. Like what I do now is when I go out on my walks, I break them up. So Sundays podcast, I'm going to get to the end of it by Saturday, because, you know, my walks take about 45 minutes to an hour, you know, 30 to 45 minutes. So I might mix it up a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And then that last, and I usually have about 45 minutes left before I go up to the park and I walk on Saturday mornings, you know what I'm saying? And I guess, so you know, that's how I listen to them. I listen to them in chunks, and I listen via Spotify. So I recommend that throughout your work week, listen to them at work, listen to them in chunks if you can't listen to them in one sitting, because it is 4 hours, or not 4, anywhere between 3 to 4 hours. But they man, 20 years doing this, you can't beat it. And like I said, there's a lot of notions that I had, like how people have notions here in the community without knowing the lineage of why things happen. There's a lot of notions that I had having some of that lineage, but just being void of the actual steps that happen behind the scenes that they were able to educate me on, and really showed me the right trajectory and the right things to look at. So me fine-tuning, from me being just a loudmouth who wanted some things done, opposed to me being a loudmouth who wanted things done and understood how things worked. Gamertag Radio, I mean, not good. Orange Lounge Radio. Definitely not Gamertag Radio. Orange Lounge Radio helped me with that transition. So definitely check them out. Orange Lounge Radio. I listen to them on Spotify. You can check them out live on Twitch, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But like I said, Bobby Blackwolf is before them. Another master gamer. They've been doing this for 20 years. 20 years. Both of them. Check them out. And then they just got a lot of great stuff. Vogue Network. They got a lot of anime stuff. They just, anything that's nerdy and geeky, whatever, they're into certain shows, the Star Wars or anything that's nerdy or geeky that you might be interested in, they got you covered. So check out Vogue Network. Look up Vogue, VOG, Victory, Opera, Goofy. Just look up Vogue Network. Great content there. All right. Enough with the Vogue promo. Yo, not too dang autocorrect. Hey yo, says Geek to Sneak. Yeah, let's get it rolling, brother. I want to do something this weekend, but it didn't work out. Primo's in the house. Good to see you, Primo. At Geek, that's a lot of work hours. Yeah, that is, man. They were trying to kill you, brother. Must be some major theft up there. Yeah, bro. Yeah. Oh, I was hot. My PlayStation 5 just appeared out of nowhere a month and a half later. It was crazy. Yo, we got Tecmo931. Good to see you. I put out a great thread on the Logitech handheld and my litmus on where cloud is right now. All right, PC has the best catalog in gaming. FIFA 23, they freaked out on it and it's coming to Stadia. Mirage is another story. Yeah, you know what? Right now it's not coming. I'm just gonna leave it like that. Right now it's not coming. We'll see if anything changes, but for right now it's not coming. I just think people, there's a difference. I'm not, and we talked, me and Dark Sakura. If you didn't see that interview, by the way, I really think it's the, at this point in time, it's the most important piece of content that you can listen to if you've been someone that's been following this channel for a while. It kind of takes you to why I react the way that I do to when it comes to things Stadia. Like a lot of people say, MM2K, you're capping, you know, you're trying to do this to get on Stadia's good side or whatever. Look, please, please. Not doing this for no clicks or no views. As a matter of fact, we fine-tuned our content to where the way that we're doing things now, we're going to get less clicks and views. That may change, but our job is not clicks and views or growing our channel. Our job is fine-tuning our content to be the best educational tool or informative tool that it can be to the Stadia experience. Now, whether you walk away from that experience and say this ain't for me, or you say, oh, thank you, that's up to you. But we just want to find to where it's the best educational experience whatsoever. And sometimes that requires not listening to noise. Like, I get it. The community at times feels up in arms about certain things, but those things are not aligned with the facts. And they come up with certain notions, but those notions aren't aligned up with the facts. Like 2 weeks ago, we were screaming bloody murder. You know, Sunchar, please don't close down Stadia, and just a bunch of other silly notions that, based off of people still acclimating themselves to a lot of noise out there. And when you do that psychologically, yes, you're gonna break. Especially if you're just on the listening end and you don't have the facts in front of you, you're gonna break. So if the noise that you're listening to that continues to keep you in the gutter with your thoughts, and after the dust settles, it continues to be wrong, why are you still listening? Like at that point, I don't blame the people that are cascading and stuff. I gotta blame you, and hence why we changed what we did, because it got to a point to where we're putting so much energy into trying to stop you from getting a drink because you want to beat being an alcoholism, but you decided to move on top of a bar. Nah. What I'm gonna have to do is we're gonna let you do your thing, let you deal with that struggle that you self-create. We're gonna find somebody else we're gonna find some other people who sensibly know that they gotta avoid the alcohol if they want to be removed from alcoholism. You know what I mean? And so we're gonna work with them. And so this is us not capping, not trying to make defense stories for Stadia. It's just being acclimated to the facts. And in order for us to do that, we got to drown out some of the noise, even if it's from the community. Now, we have forums we're not above and beyond either reproach or discussion. If you want to discuss some things, okay, here you go. We're right here. That's what SLS featured MM2K is about. But be mindful that if what you're sticking to is wrong, that it's going to be challenged, or there's a possibility it'll be challenged. I'm taking on a new leaf with some of this stuff to where I might say, oh, that's interesting. I'm not quite sure the facts align with that, but that's interesting. That's a new line I've been practicing. I've been practicing it in the mirror. Oh, interesting you would say that. I'm not sure the facts align to that set of beliefs, but you know, if that's where your opinion lays, then okay, cool. So yeah, man. We're not above discussion or opinions being put out there, or, you know, thoughts, positive or negative. We are just not linking those opinions, again, whether positive or negative, to something that the facts don't match up to. Like if someone were to come through and say, well, you know what, Stadia, here's what I want to put out there for those that say, well, this is too much positivity, and you know, everything is going to be okay when you listen to MM2K, and it's not subjective enough. I couldn't bear to agree with anybody who would say something like, you know what, In 2023, Stadia is going to get all the big AAAs, and they're going to have more capabilities than Xbox and PlayStation put together. I wouldn't dare give any credence to that. None whatsoever. It's just, and just say that wholeheartedly, just as irresponsible as it would be for somebody with influence to say that Stadia is dead without proof. I think equally that would be just as irresponsible, right? But the difference is you don't have major content persuaders talking that extreme on the opposite side. Like the most consistent motif that I may hear on the more positive side of the overall thing. And just because you're positive overall doesn't mean that everything is positive. That's an over-exaggeration that's caused by people that can't debate their points. But just because you're positive about things overall doesn't mean that you think that there are no things that are wrong or need to be corrected. It's just that the urgency that you may put behind those things may differ to others. And, you know, again, gaming is a selfish hobby, so you can understand why some things are more urgent to other people. But to say the thing that's urgent to you is not urgent, I mean, it's urgent to everybody, when the facts don't align with that, I'm sorry, you just got to deal with that. Also, to say that because something isn't urgent to you, isn't really urgent to nobody, again, the facts don't align with that either. So, I just, it's just a peculiar state of affairs when you hear the demagoguery out there. Well, they're just this and they're just trying to do this and this, right? But I don't hear anybody on this side in clusters try to rationalize Stadia's going to they're getting everything next year. They're going to have all the games next year. I don't get anybody trying to rationalize that as hard as someone trying to rationalize the extreme opposite of that, which is Stadia's dying soon. And, you know, it's just that they're dwindling it down to die. So just some food for thought there. But, you know, that's what these forums are for, to have the discussions. You know, we could talk about it, you know. Just understand that facts, we take what is said or what is thought, we align it to the facts. Then we put it in this bucket. This is a great conversational piece, but subjective and not proven by anything. Boop. That's the bucket it goes into. A reiteration of the facts at a very concrete level that's worth further investigation, or, you know, worth following that path. Boom, put it in that bucket. That's how conversations, I mean, that's how the mindset works here. So again, we can have the conversations. It's just understand that as far as where we land on any thought is based upon the facts. It hasn't failed us yet following the facts. What's up, Chariot Man? What's going on, good brother? Chariot Man, you're a member, I believe, or you may not be. I don't think, yeah. I saw your concern video about what's it called? You might want to check out my my video on the Stadia Pro things, and then I got another video coming out. You might be interested, you know, to hear that. Might be up your alley. And the Logitech G Cloud gaming platform is very interesting. Yeah, I got a video on that. I will say interesting. I got a video on that. Yeah, man, it's how that came about, what the entities involved are trying to accomplish, and how well I expect that to hit with the market. I'll talk about all that. I got in my member section. Our member section is robust. And again, this is not to say this is not a money grab. Trust me, you can get access to 80 to 90% of this stuff just $2 a month. If I could charge any lower, I would. It's just that, again, our more deep diving stuff, we got to put behind this wall, because when we put it out there in the ethos, it's being used as fodder for people that are just shooting from the hip emotionally about the platform, and we don't want to be we don't want to be part of that discussion. I mean, to be frank and to be honest, we feel like we put more into our content than just shooting from the hip or letting you know where our headspace is. You know what I mean? That's not what we do here. So we don't want to get mixed up in that. So again, for those, and again, we understand that because so much content out there or so many discussions out there is based upon, well, this is where my headspace is at. Not necessarily researching something thoroughly, looking at it from an unbiased eye, and then collecting and gathering your thoughts. There's a lot of content like that out there. So because I cover Stadia and somebody else may be talking about Stadia, it may all just get lumped together. No, this is something different. This is a real educational journey that we're trying to take you on. So all that stuff doesn't get lumped together in the same bucket. That's why we do it. Trust me, $1.99 on YouTube. I'm not getting rich. I'm not even taking the family out to the Sizzler. You know what I'm saying? Because the simple fact of the matter is, if I got this correct, the 99 cents, like the way YouTube works, you get 70% of the revenue, right? They get 30. But it has to be a full round dollar. If it's not a full round dollar, it's not even added. So in the case of a $1.99, see, if I disappear, you know why? Because I'm giving you guys the secret. In the case of a $1.99, if I have this correct, and again, I'm not 100% sure because none of this money goes into my pocket. I've just preliminarily looked at numbers because of things that we wanted to do for the community, and tried to estimate stuff and said, hold on, what's going on here and going on there? That being said, it appears that if it's not a full round dollar, you don't get any credit of that. That's the way it appears. Like, for instance, when you guys super chat $1.99, we're only getting 70% of that dollar. Because that 99 cents isn't a full dollar, that doesn't get attributed. That just goes directly to YouTube. So YouTube is getting 30% off of that dollar, and they're getting the 99 cents. They only do the revenue share, from what I can see, off of whole dollars, from what I could see. And I looked at this with somebody else that works on the platform, because we were confused, because we were looking to do something, and then we were confused, like, hold on, I'm not sure if this looks right. And as we were looking over stuff, we were like, that's what's going on. So yeah, so on a $1.99 donation, or even a $1.99 membership, we're getting 70 cents off of that. YouTube it appears that they're getting 99 cents and 30 cents, which is $1.29 off of that. So they're getting more off it. So trust me, this is not a money grab. Some things we do, put behind the higher walls because, again, people are contributing more and they deserve to get a little bit more bang for their buck. Like there's a couple of shows that require some of the higher tiers to get access to, or some of the people in the higher tiers get access to some of the member content, sooner than others. But that's to, give them an extra thank you for them contributing more. You know what I mean? But no, this is not a money grab. This is just, hey, look, we're separating ourselves from a lot of this is where my headspace is talk that's out there in the community. Hopefully you guys appreciate it and you enjoy it. Jinx718 says VR is cool, but still needs physical unit. It has potential. Yeah, exactly. I said this in my thread, but if people want a good litmus for cloud gaming, listen to Nintendo podcast. Whenever cloud games are announced, people cover it awkwardly. They don't want it. Yeah. Could it be that people love their physical? Yeah, they do. Everything associated to gaming is still considered physical media. And what you guys got to understand is that most gamers aren't over the whole digital game costs the same as physical. They're still not over that. So they already look at the removal of hardware, something you can touch, you can hug and kiss, you know what I mean, as a money grab. They feel like that like, say for instance, when you go buy a game for $70, they feel like that 20 of that is because you had to create plastic mold and make a disc. This is how they think. And that if you're paying $70 for a digital game, you're just getting ripped off because there's no longer that $20 for the mold. And I get it. There's the job, there's the transportation, there's the replication of the disc, the transportation of it, the jobber that's involved. But here's what people don't understand is that digital content, to make sure that monetarily people aren't getting over like a fat rat. You know how governments work. They find ways to tax stuff. So there's like slightly more taxation on digital copies than there are physical copies. Okay. But secondly, the biggest factor in why digital copies don't differ in price than physical copies is because a lot of gamers still go to brick and mortar stores. Even if they are buying digitally, they go to brick and mortar stores to buy cards. Like there's still a lot of activity in brick and mortar stores. So, like Steam cards, they'll sell a wazoo of them in GameStop. You know what I mean? So because of that, what brick and mortar retailers have told companies, like if you make we're gonna talk about if you make the next gen version of Madden 23 $60 digital, but we have to sell it for 10, and generally when you're in a brick and mortar store, that $60 doesn't come. $60 don't even come to you. You're making money off the $10. So $60 of that $70 purchase around that area is going to the jobber, wholesale. Well, it's going to everybody else except to you. The brick and mortars are selling games at like around $10 a pop, give or take a few dollars. All right. And I believe it's the same for digital codes as well. They're making $10 off of those. But more of that money is coming back to the publisher off the digital purchase. Like I said, there is some extra taxation, but more of that is still coming to the publisher. But If I make it to where my game that I'm publishing is $10 cheaper than, or even $5 cheaper when you consider some of the taxation. If I make it to where it's like $5 to $7 cheaper, then guess what? I'm driving traffic to buy it digitally. People are going to buy it digitally. Everybody's always looking for a deal on a game when it releases. That's why used games are so popular. People pick up a game, they don't like it, they turn it back. You get $5 off. You get $5 off the retail copy. That's why that was making so much money for these brick and mortar stores. It was crazy. However, if you drive all that traffic away from the brick and mortars because your digital copy is cheaper, then guess what? They said, F it. Not only will we not sell your digital copies, but for anybody that practices that, we're not going to sell your physical copies either. For anybody that practices that, we're making this a standard. And you're driving us out of business. Now, you guys and gals are probably listening to this and saying, well, eventually that's what's going to happen anyway. You're going to, eventually, if things keep going in the trajectory that they're going, then everybody's going to be buying digitally. And they're going to be, and yes, that is the case. And that's why you've seen PlayStation jump the gun, even though a lot of people didn't like it. They jumped the gun and started yanking their digital sales out of the stores. They said, why are we even giving you $10? If you want to sell PlayStation points, fine. But we're not going to let you sell our digital games anymore. Nope. We'll give you a percentage off the PlayStation points that you sell in your brick and mortar. But for the games, no, we're not giving you, no. And that's why they pulled it out first, because they're looking at it as in, I guess they're looking, and this is another reason why they came out with the PlayStation Digital. Whatever numbers that they're looking at, they're seeing increased usage of digital copies. And they're doing the math and they're saying, look, if we just sell these digital copies ourselves, this is how much money we're leaving on the table by letting GameStop sell them. And here's what people got to understand. I get a lot of people are angry with PlayStation because they feel like they're not as giving as Xbox. I know there's been some gamers that have said that. I think the general gamer doesn't feel that way. It's mainly Xbox gamers and journalists who are mainly in it to see they want to see PlayStation games on a subscription model. Yoshida just came back out and shot that down again. You're not going to see it, not anytime soon. Not until Xbox proves that Game Pass is a moneymaker. Don't confuse the word sustainable with moneymaker. Sustainable means how long we can keep this up. Microsoft has a lot of money. They can keep this up for a while. But they want to see how long they want to see this as a money-making model. And we've heard various conversations from Tom Ward, a lot of other people that are in the know about where this is at. It's not there yet. They're doing a lot of front-end investing, kind of what Disney was doing at first. They said, look, the first 10 years, we're going to lose $1 billion. And after that, those first 10 years, we're looking to just be in the plus. We're going to be in the green in a crazy way. This is what Xbox is doing. They're saying, look, for the first few years that we heavily push this thing, we're going to lose a lot of money making it. But this is like investing. We're investing a lot of money into making this a household name. But once it becomes a household name, we can start raising prices and, doing and putting up certain guardrails. Then we'll make that money over a billionfold. That's the belief system with Game Pass. Sony's like, no, we're not going to do that. Number one, they can't do it because it's not sustainable for them. Sony is not as big as Microsoft, period. Microsoft is is in the top 5 of the richest companies in the world. They're always battling Apple and Google. More or less has been a battle between Apple and Microsoft at the top, and Google nipping at their feet. You know, it used to be a more consistent 3-way battle, but I think as of late it's been more Microsoft and Apple and with Google nipping at their feet, right? So with that being said, they have the money to keep plugging into this, to take those risks, to make this a household name. Sony doesn't have that. You got to remember, just with the PlayStation 3 generation alone, after crushing the competition with PlayStation 1, crushing the competition with PlayStation 2, the PlayStation 3 generation alone almost had Sony bankrupt. And PlayStation right now is Sony's livelihood. So what Sony is saying is, look, we don't have the war chest that Microsoft has, but we feel like we have a premium product. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue to market our product as a premium product, and that's the way we're going to do it. And if you guys, you get what you pay for. Yes, we're both consoles, but we're offering something on our console that just cannot be replicated on theirs. That's their argument. Whether you fall for that or you believe it or not, that's the angle that they're working from. They can't do what Microsoft is doing with Game Pass. It's not going to work for them. So, people get mad at PlayStation for doing what they do, but it makes sense why they're doing what they're doing, because their war chest is only but so big. But that's why Phil Spencer pointed to Amazon and Google. And don't get these early years twisted as, Xbox having more name recognition to Amazon and Google. Like, Amazon and Google are almost there already at 1 billion gamers. All they got to do is get the games. Once they get the games and PewDiePie says, okay, Battlefield 9042, I'm giving out 5 codes on Stadia. As long as you have it on Stadia. I'm not giving out 5 codes on Stadia. I'm giving out 5. I'm letting 5 people in the game with me right now. Come on and play with me on Google Stadia, Or Ninja does the same thing with a version of Fortnite on Luna. The game is over. That's what Google and Amazon are building too. That's their apex. But they realize, again, cloud gaming is going to take some time to get that adaptation in mainstream gaming. And they got to build their infrastructure. They got to build their AI and machine learning to get to that point. So it's not a matter of this is what you have to do now, because the apex is not now. The apex is years down the road. Now, of course, as consumers, we want it all now. I absolutely makes sense. And I'm not, where it's sustainable, where they can give it to us now when it's sustainable, because I don't want them to do anything that's not sustainable, because that's what's going to put them at risk of closing down. When you talk about, they closing down or whatever, asking them to do stuff that isn't sustainable is at risk of doing that. And when you have such a low ceiling, like I can get Game Pass, I can get why Microsoft is doing Game Pass. The ceiling for the adoption rate of Game Pass is high. It's just, the question is, can Microsoft deliver that promise? But the ceiling for that is high as hell. The problem with cloud gaming right now, is that the delivery method through cloud gaming, the ceiling on that is low. It's believed to be down the road to be something serious, and it has a lot of promise while a lot of people are trying to get into this. but the ceiling is low. So while the ceiling is low on this, it doesn't make sense to plug money into it like you would a Game Pass. Because your returns, even if they're not out of the red yet, your returns are going to be so less fruitful. Like, even though Microsoft is not out of the red, it's not like for every dollar they spend, they're only getting a penny back, or they're getting less than a penny. Like, they may be getting, anywhere, they might be getting anywhere between four, and I'm just throwing random numbers out here. I haven't crunched anything, but I would say, 45 to 60%, maybe even 70% of what they put in with a margin loss of like 30%. So for every dollar that they put in, they're getting 70 cents back, maybe. Okay, you're still in the hole, but you're making, and if it's gradually growing, if when you first started, it was 5 cents, and then the next year it went to, 20, and then the next year went to, like, in the margin capabilities or possibilities, the ceiling on Game Pass, I would, say, just from my analyst expert, I would say that at this moment, years down the road is going to be potentially bigger, but I say at this moment, if Xbox can deliver, like with it, when I say in this moment, I mean between now and the next 2 to 3 years. It's possible that Xbox can get, if they deliver this right, if they're hitting on all cylinders, for every dollar that they put in the Game Pass, they can get anywhere between $1.30 to $1.50 right now, because it's still kind of early for the subscription model to really be adapted like that. For every dollar they put in, they can get $1.30, $1.50. They would love to have that anyway, especially while it's early. It's not like that for Stadia. Up to a certain point of investment, it might be, and these things happen in different tiers too. Like, it could be for cloud gaming, for every year that you put 20 million in, hey, maybe you can make 20, maybe you can make 30 million. That's not a whole lot of money. But let's just say you raise it to where, all right, well, I'm going to put 40 in. Let's just say if you decide to put 40 in and your rate of return is only 35. What? Hold on. How come I doubled my investment? How come my return didn't? Because the ceiling is low and you're still stubborn to the ceiling, and you're like, well, hold up. Well, no, I'm going to put 50 or 60 in. And you put 50, 60 in, and it goes up to 37. Like, the ceiling could be 40 million, but it's not. But when you get past a certain crescendo, it's not worth trying to reach that ceiling, because you now are in the red in order to reach that 40 million. So these companies want to kind of like stay in the green and subsidize their growth. You don't do that by operating in the red for the next 10 years. So that's why things are moving slowly. Maybe you start operating in the red years 8 and 9, or years 9 and 10. But years 3 and 4 all the way up, no, that's not sustainable. You got to make incremental growth. All right. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Hold on. Give me a moment. Okay, sorry about that, y'all. Important phone call. Was waiting on. I almost forgot about it. Anyway, so yeah, that's the thing with cloud gaming that you gotta understand why. Just using these two examples, Amazon and Google, why they're not going all out. Why Google said, you know what? We're not getting anywhere near the milestones that we need to, that we've promised our partners. 1 million active users. It makes sense for us to keep the query, to do this as a business and, you know, stay in the red, even if it's marginally. If we got there, because that means that we're hitting, we figured this out and we're heading in the right direction. But we clearly aren't, because we didn't even get close until the end of those 14 months. And that was because we had a AAA game that everybody wanted to play that just so happened to play well with us better than it did the average console. So that gave us some attention, right? And of course that didn't last, because that's not going to be the case with every game right now. Why? Because cloud gaming is a small 1 to 3% business, or, you know, whatever. It's a very small margin of the business. And we thought we had a way to leapfrog those projections and, you know, and do better, but we were wrong. And I get it. Of course we wanted those games. We would have loved to have those games and have them. But again, when it comes to cloud gaming, your ceiling or your potential footprint is small. So it makes sense for Game Pass to spend $20 million to get that game into Game Pass, right? But it doesn't make sense for Google to spend $150 million to market and make the game if they're only going to get 30 million from it because of the low adoption rates of Stadia. And again, people may say, no, it's exclusive. And people would have, look, let me explain something to you. People don't flock to stuff just because it's exclusive. You have to have exclusive content, meaning that, you know, this is where you want to go to get it. And it has to be appealing. And when we looked at the query, the only thing that the query could boast was, in the month that it released, it was PlayStation 5's top digitally downloaded game. It was not number one in the month that it released. It was not number two. I think the highest that it ranked on any chart was number 4. Compare that to Cyberpunk 2077, that despite all of its problems, it released a lot better. Stadia next to PC. So let's put it like this: 60% of the adaptation of Cyberpunk 2077 in its launch months, December and November, were 60% were on PC. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, let's just say only 1% was on Stadia. So the other 39% would have been on consoles, right? Think about that. Everybody and their grandmother is telling you the best way to play this game is either having a high-tuned PC, which most gamers can indulge in, or playing this over the cloud. And most of y'all already have internet. Don't give me that, well, a lot of people don't have the infrastructure, because most people are playing games that are online only on the internet. And as Google has shown you via charts, or, you know, as we can attest to as Stadia gamers, as much internet as it takes you to play a sustainable amount of Fortnite, like 15 megabytes up and down, as long as you ain't got no other activity on your internet, you can use that to play Stadia, especially a single player game like Cyberpunk, right? As we can all attest to, you don't need a whole bunch. You just need a stable connection. Stable doesn't mean a whole bunch of internet. You could have a gig up and a gig down. And if your router is full of malware and got this port open, not port closed, if the router's all screwed up or ain't configured right to work well with cloud gaming, then your internet isn't stable. So it's not about having a whole bunch of internet. It's about having a stable connection. Stable means having enough internet to enjoy Stadia, which that could vary depending upon how many people are using your internet and what internet package you have, and having stable throughput back and forth via your router or whatever wires you're using, or where's your placement of your router if you're doing it wirelessly to where your dongle's at or your computer's at. Stable means a lot more than just trying to, quote, I heard this term, brute force internet speeds. No. So you were told, spend $2,000 to $2,500 on a PC, or just get it on Stadia, pay $60 for the game, and get a free Stadia dongle with it to play Cyberpunk. Guess what? I mean, I have no evidence that these numbers are this low, but we're going to go with the whole projections of all the cloud gaming. Only 1% of people indulged in that. If that doesn't tell you everything that you need to know about the psychology of gamers when it comes to cloud gaming right now, it's going to change. I can't have a conversation with you. I can't have a serious conversation with you about this. We're just going to be I'm talking over you. It's not connecting. You're coming from an angle that just isn't fathomable to me. We're just talking over and around each other. Cyberpunk 2077 was one of the most anticipated games, if not of all time, within the last 10 years. Granted, upon release, people were dogging it, but they were dogging it because of how it performed, how it looked, and the bugs. You were told globally that you don't have to worry about that if you get it on Stadia. Granted, Stadia is not available everywhere, but you would expect that in its largest, like the largest section for games like Cyberpunk and all that is the US. You would have expected, with Stadia being available in the US, that 10, 15, okay, maybe even 20% of the sales. No. Maybe they would even split them with consoles. No. Nope. Now what they did is, in the 60% figure, they lumped in Stadia's numbers and PC. So we don't officially know how many Stadia, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna hover around anywhere between 1% to 5%. That still isn't plausible opposed to what people were advertised about the experience of the biggest game potentially in the last 10 years and how gamers reacted to it. That shows you staunchly how the psychology is of gamers, and that gives you a peer into the world of why I don't overreact to this stuff, why I don't go slapping myself in the forehead and go slapping cabinets around my house just because something unfavorable happens with Stadia. Yeah, we talk about it. Yeah, we're going to get on their case where we need to get on their case, communication wise or implementation wise or whatever, but I don't let it seep into this is why Stadia is closing down or winding down rhetoric. This is why we don't entertain that, because I understand where cloud gaming is right now in the psychology of the average gamer. And I get why the ceiling of activity is low for Stadia and Google, because the ceiling of accomplishment is low for them. So we're watching these incremental changes. We're ensuring that things do improve and get better, which they are. And we're looking to see that they're looking to make deals and continue to bring AAAs on, and that they can do it at a better, faster rate. And they're making things possible in order to do that, which is the low change porting. Okay, we're surprised with Saints Row. All right. And we were surprised with Dead Rising too. Okay, we want to see more. Absolutely. So let's hope we get more and hope that this low change porting makes it possible. And I think Stadia gets that they pivoted. If now that we're past all this doom and gloom stuff for the most part, as far as Stadia dying tomorrow, then I think we have to go back to the Stadia SG&E closure letter and look at that in totality. And if you look at that, it tells you right then and there that Cyberpunk 2077's activity was like one of the biggest draws to our pivot. Because we saw that we could not reach our goals until we got a big ticket game on our platform, and the promise of cloud gaming giving you such a staunchly better or enhanced experience opposed to what you're going to get from many popular Daddy devices. Until we reach that promise, we can't go big. We have to fulfill that promise. So that's what they're building towards. It wasn't we got our own studios and we're releasing our own exclusive content. The exclusive content wasn't going anywhere. And don't get me wrong, I get it. They were waiting to build upon bigger exclusive content, but it wasn't even a promise of that. People want stuff now. So what you better build upon is you can't. Here was the risk that they were running. Don't get me wrong. A lot of these games that we saw go to other platforms, I would have loved to see on Stadia. I would have loved to see the Quarry or whatever. But when you look at these games now and you look at how they really aren't huge financial successes that they would have needed to be on Stadia to justify the cost. And they're really not retaining people on the like nobody's talking about the Quarry anymore. And some of these other games that have been let go that we know would have come to Stadia that have released, nobody's talking about them. There are not people that are saying en masse, I'm glad I got to play this game. Meaning these games were not powerful and impactful enough to make the average gamer who is a skeptic of cloud gaming leave their skepticism to the side and actually try this. If they weren't willing to do it for the biggest game in 10 years, when everybody told them that the biggest game in 10 years opposite of a big PC was best played here, if they weren't willing to do it then, so in many ways, I don't even have to finish that sentence. You know where I was going with that. So in many ways, Stadia was a true telltale Cyberpunk was a true telltale for Stadia. It showed them that, hey, what people want most from us are those big ticket titles. That's our biggest claim to fame. But even at that, our big claim to fame ain't big enough for the big stage yet. This psychology against cloud gaming is staunch. And it's not something that we're going to easily leapfrog over. It's going to take time. But we're going to utilize that time to build the infrastructure incrementally and build on that promise that was the biggest and best hope for us that we saw from Cyberpunk 2077. And after we get that settled, then maybe we'll then look into studios or whatever. But that's our biggest claim to fame. It's getting those games, those third-party games that people want to play, but they want to play it under the guise of what cloud gaming and Stadia offers. That has to be understood. Has to be understood. So because of that, it should make sense to anybody why Stadia does what it does. All right. I know I lied to you guys. I told you guys I wasn't going to give you this anymore, but I was in the spirit. So I'm going to do it for the rest of the show. We're going to go through the questions and then I might bring up this Madden thing, but we'll get into it. All right. And people still play the ownership card when it's the same as game digital, but no downloads. Yeah. I mean, anybody that's still playing the ownership card, that's just, see, at this point in time, I was thinking about this earlier as I was writing some other, if you're not a member, man, you guys are going to miss out on some great stuff. If you're not a member, you're going to want to rethink that. Again, $199 is going to get you access to a lot of this great content. I got another video after this that I'm going to release. It'll be available after this, where I examine the fact that my conversation about Cyberpunk 2077 just created another great side conversation with mainstream gamers about Stadia. I'm going to show you, it's going to be released as soon as this ends. So you're going to want to think about becoming a member and checking that out. But what I've discovered now, no, it's not what I discovered. What I've realized now is that, so you got to evolve as we're doing this. When I first hit the scene, it was all about, I'm in your face, you're lying about the platform, which these people were. You're lying about the platform. You're misinforming the unsuspecting gamer. That's unforgivable. Rah, 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 rah. That was our approach at first. And it was a needed approach, I feel, even though there may have been some in the community who said, you ain't got to do that. Hogwash. Without a secured social media presence, you cannot have a grassroots operation. And that's what Stadia wanted. They call it grassroots marketing. You cannot have an effective grassroots marketing campaign if Twitter, of all places, you don't have a comfortable space to talk about this platform. And I knew all about Twitter. I knew about the good and the bad and the ugly. I knew how to have the educated conversations, and I knew how to rip you a hole if you were trying to be a hole. So that's what that was our lane. If you didn't want to get in the trenches with us, fine. And that's why a lot of that junk that people were saying, oh, don't do that. I'm not here to be a carbon copy of you. We didn't make a lot of friends because of it, but who cares? We're not here to make friends. I'm 44 years old. I think I know how to make friends on my own by now. I'm not Dahmer. I don't know if you guys are watching that, which is like sickening to go watch, but my wife is forcing me to watch it. We're watching Dahmer on Netflix, and I don't have Dahmer's problem where, he's trying to make friends and He's asking them if they want to dissect animals at his house. That's his, hey, you want to dissect this pig in my house? No, I don't have those problems. I can make friends elsewhere. I appreciate the people that are honest, that keep it true, that are good friends, that are not just about themselves, that are unselfish. And I'm the same to them. I'm a very unselfish person. So I respect that. And I love them for it. I love all you guys, for it, that show the support and all other stuff. But I didn't come here and do this because I needed to belong. I wanted to do this because I knew there were people that needed to be informed. All right. So, you know what I mean? Like, I appreciate everybody that's here, as always. We just always got to remind people of that. But what I've learned is that when somebody comes to you with a 2020 argument, or they say things like, well, you don't even own their gamer IQ, their gaming lineage IQ is low. Now, I'm not saying people are stupid. They're just very ignorant to a lot of things that are associated to what makes the cogs move in gaming. That's not somebody that's worth having an argument with. So immediately what I've started doing is I've stopped debating them, because I think there's enough pockets on social media now to where if people truly want to be informed about Stadia, they can find it. If they just resolve themselves and believe in the gook, then there's nothing you can do about it. But if they're really seeking for information, I think they have enough common sense to say, hold on, well, have you played? I've heard bad stuff, but I really want to go to people that play this platform, because now I'm hearing via Kotaku, whatever, that people are still playing. I want to get to these people. So if you find somebody that says things like, well, Stadia, you don't own your games, or if they reference killed by Google, these are people that have very low gamer IQ, and it's not worth arguing with them. If you can, you just pump the brakes and say, hold on, I get what you're saying and I understand why you're saying it, but here's the facts. When you gotta like de-escalate, even though they may be a jackass or whatever, de-escalate it and get into an information mode and give it a try. Like they're gonna be combative at first. They might throw some stuff out there. They're like, whoa, this article says, but you gotta understand, this is what people do on the internet. This is what the vast majority, this is what I used to do. I used to pull out an article, but this article says this. Because we were born and bred to trust journalists. They have no reason to lie to us. They have the same common interests as us. It's just that they're in the know. They get to have a little bit more fun with this, and they're just trying to inform us, right? Wrong. But most gamers don't realize that yet. So that's what they do. They go yank articles. So the proper response is to have your stuff aligned where you yank out the better article or the better link. I have something called the Stadia Manifesto. That's why I'm so swift with this. Every single argument that people have thrown out on Stadia, or every argument that can be thrown out against Stadia that is invalid, that is false. I'm not saying every argument against Stadia is invalid or false. No, there are a number of them that are valid, but the ones that are invalid, ones that people haven't even used yet, but I know they might, creep out of somewhere from the orifices. I already got a response. I already got a link to it. There's already a link to it to debunk it factually, not to just debunk it. And as far as taking advantage of someone's lack of knowledge of something and just coming up with a better sounding argument. No, it's already there to debunk it. With all the content that we've given you over the years, and Clive and John and Sonny and others have given you over the years, you should have a set of information too if you truly care about the truth being disseminated. There shouldn't be, oh man, well this sounds good. Not when you've been educated for years on otherwise. I'm not trying to play that game with people. So it's not even worth arguing with them. But if they're persistent in their argument and they're going to continue because they just are hell-bent on hating on Stadia, then just say, you know what? You've been too consumed. You've been too indoctrinated. Hopefully, you'll see when the platform gets more mainstream recognition. Have a good one and just let them be. Let them be. It's not even worth arguing with them. Because you know what may end up happening, and it's not going to happen a lot, but what may end up happening is, even if it's 1 time out of 10, that one person can then help inform other people. But that one person may, once y'all disengage publicly, he or she may behind the scenes go read all that material that you sent them, and they might change their minds. I've had it happen dozens, not a dozen, not a handful, dozens of times. People have surprised me so many times that I've debated, argued with online, threw a whole bunch of stuff at, and they've come back to me and they're playing Stadia. And I'm like, you're playing Stadia? And yeah, you don't tell me behind the scenes. Yeah, you convinced me. It ain't that bad. We gotta evolve, and that's the next evolution in this. That's why we've catered the platform the way that we have, and we cut off a lot of the foolishness. So the next evolution in the platform is, okay, when you are sitting there talking about killed by Google and a whole bunch of silly stuff, I can't even argue with you. I'm gonna try to inform you. And if you don't want to take that information, if you're still arguing against reality and you're just making up stuff, like if I see that I'm not making any progress in this conversation, you're stuck, I left you with some vital information, you'll go back to it and read it. I'm gonna leave it alone. Because then they might hear from someone else and they might refer like, oh yeah, I heard that from somewhere else. Let me go check that out. You know what I mean? So that's how I handle people now. As you can see, I'm less attack mode on what's it called, and I'm more just like informative on there because I get it. Like, people should kick the tires more and stuff, and I don't like the state of gaming where people tell you, they bite into the sandwich and say, yeah, I think you'll like this. I don't like that, but it is what it is. And I just think now we can better inform people through that method opposed to actually arguing with them. I don't hold on to physical media consoles like I used to since Jinx 718. Not enough room, and then the new media or system takes its place. I've got them on Spotify. They're in my weekly rotation. Yeah. Hey, man. Tecmo 931. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate the support. Thank you. Thank you. We're just trying. We're trying to educate. We're trying to have fathomable conversations based on the facts. I'm not going to be here to sit there and say, you're not going to hear me say Stadia is perfect, or if something doesn't work for you, so what, shut up. I don't do that. It's just, let's not over exaggerate and misinform others in the things that we're pointing out. Like, there's an old saying where I come from, you ain't got a lie to kick it. You ain't got a lie to kick it. But thank you, Tecmo. I appreciate that, man. I'm waiting for the main topic. Well, Jinx, you know how we go. And no, Jinx, I don't have main topics anymore. It's all about y'all. There is this man thing that we're going to go over in a little bit, and that's it. I wanted to do that. We're going to have the I don't know, the icebreaker. I guess I'll call it the icebreaker. Help me remember that for the next show. The icebreaker conversation, where as we're waiting for people to fill in, you know what I'm saying? We'll put something out there and to break the ice. But y'all filled in, at first it was slow getting in here, but then y'all filled in here rather quickly. So we're Gucci. Just working and lurking, Simpleton. What's going on, good brother? Good to see you as always. How about yourself? Same in my last work. There needs to be more education for the masses in the video game industry. Yeah, the problem is, Dusty, is that, and this is the problem, and only we can fight this problem. The problem is that it started with the journos and this new breed of gamers that have come up. First, what happened was, I want to say in the early 2000s, I think gamers did have an expectation and had patience towards gaming, but publications wanted to get clicks. This is what I've noticed since I've been covering stuff and been on sites and stuff like that, with the biggest publications to some of the smallest. Publications wanted to get clicks. It didn't, once the money in gaming grew, once the money in talking about gaming grew, that just raised the stakes. I mean, once gaming grew, and then therefore, by attrition, I mean, not by attrition, but just by association, the money in talking about gaming grew. That just put more pressure on people to try to make more money. That's unfortunately how things work. It's not like, oh, we're making a bunch of money now, this is a great time period for us. Let's stash some away, or let's do some great stuff with it. No, it's like, okay, how do we stay at this level and keep going, right? And when you keep thinking like that, like that's how the market works. You could make $1.1 billion 1 year and still have enough to cover all your expenses, to cover, and make a good profit. But if the following year you make $1 billion, you've considered to be a failure. You have considered to fail. And if you're publicly traded, that can seriously affect the value of your company, because then your stocks will go down. See, a lot of people don't, that's why I tell y'all to read books like, and again, I'm not trying to tap into anybody's political affiliation. I know some of these people may have or may have not said things politically that you don't agree with. Forget that. Just focus on their craft and their expertise. Forget about the political stuff. A lot of people have political opinions about things that just don't make any sense, but because they have money, they think now it's just common with people with money. However, if you just focus on their craft, you will become so educated on this, and this will make so much sense to you. This is why I tell everybody to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Now, there's a series, and Robert T. Kiyosaki, he's milked it. There's like 75 books. Like, within the first 3 books, I think I read the first Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Rich Son, Poor Dad, whatever. Find out the first 3 books that he wrote and read those 3 books. Book 1 is superb. Book 2, but it kind of elaborates more on book 1, and book 3 is excellent. That's all you need. Read those first 3 books in the Rich Dad, Poor Dad series, and it'll make sense to you. I had to read those because of what I do. Like a lot of Zig Ziglar. I'm really telling my age here. Look up Zig Ziglar. Those were the books that were given to me as a unit manager and as a manager that I had to read. I had to. There is no, did you read? And then we get tested on it. Because whenever our competitors who did better than us sat down for an interview with CNN or not CNN, but CNBC or somebody, and said, well, what influenced you? Oh, well, there's a lot of great stuff. I went golfing with Robert T. Kiyosaki, and I was just commending him on how great his book was and how informative it was to me and how it changed my life. That book then becomes required learning for everybody within that sector. So yeah. No. No. I'm sorry, I was just reading something. So, yeah, you gotta read these books so you can better understand where these why certain business decisions are made. And then once you get a general business acumen, and I noticed like, oh my gosh, why I gotta, because we're talking about business. That's like saying, you know what? I want to be able to work on my car. But why do I want to be able to work on my car from top to bottom? But why do I gotta, why I have to, if I want to be able to work on my car, why I gotta learn about car parts? Why I gotta learn about car parts? Why can't I just learn about the fluids that go into the car? Why I gotta learn about, when you're talking about these decisions that are being made, they're being made for business purposes. So you gotta understand just a ground level understanding of business, and you gotta understand have a ground level acumen of gaming business. If you don't have those two, then I can't have a serious gaming conversation with you. I can answer questions, but that's it. That's why a lot of these challenges and stuff that I got here over my time doing this for Stadia, I may have been flippant to it. That's why. You can identify consumer wants all you want. But what you have to understand when it comes to business is that the consumer is the catalyst to the investor. So if the publisher that is responsible for the output of the game and the platform holder as well are publicly traded companies, then you got to understand that it all doesn't rest on what you want. It's a balancing act. The main goal is the investor. But the investor participates with the company as long as people are buying. So it's a balance. It's not a matter of just doing what you think is cool. If an investor looks at that and smacks your hand and say, don't do that. I'm yanking my money out of this. You go. So whether we like it or not, whether we're not fans of the capitalistic system or not, it's the system that these games operate on as far as the decisions that are made by the publishers. Until the funding model changes to where, and I've always made arguments about this, until the funding model or the relationship between the publisher and the developer changes, until that dynamic changes drastically, this is what you better understand. Or I can't have a conversation with you, period. I'm sorry. I can answer questions, but that's it. And that's why I'm here. That's why we do this here. So, yeah. Dusty, you're absolutely right. There needs to be more education to the masses on this, because people are basically what you're getting is a whole bunch of hoopla about the headspaces that people are in. Stadia October games are not appealing. I can see, Sanchez, where a lot of people may feel that way, especially if you're looking for some type of AAA action game in there. Again, check out my thoughts on them in the member content. I'm not going to argue against any. What I will say this, that poll after poll that I've seen from people that game on the platform, they've been surprisingly, they're a little bit higher than I expected. They're a little bit higher than I expected, which tells you that gives you a better crystallization of the actual demographic, what they're looking for in the games that'll entertain them. And sometimes some of us more hardcore gamers, we got to understand that, because Google has the data and the numbers that are showing that, okay, yeah, we may get lambasted on Twitter from the handful of people that just parade Twitter, but the general demographic seems to enjoy this, that, or the other. And to us, where if you look at October, you might say, oh, that's a D or that's an E. To the rest of the demographic, it might be a C or a B. But what we can do is just continue to push and say, okay, well, we get what your demographic is, but understand that a significant portion of the consumer, this is the stuff that we like too. You know what I mean? You never want to feel left out. I get it. You never want to feel left out. So you raise your voice, and don't raise your voice on Reddit. They are paying attention on Reddit, but don't raise your voice in a point to where it's just trolling. Like, make very sound, arguments against why you don't think the catalog this month is acceptable, and why they should do something different next time around or whatever. Yeah, I know. What do I keep saying? Dead Rising 2, Dead Island 2. Thank you for that. Game, is that Arcade Paradise? Yeah, I think it's this month. I do think that's pretty fly. See, just go watch my video. It'll make sense. It'll make sense on where I'm coming from my perspective. I like the October game. See, yeah, it's different for different people. Some people like them, some people didn't like them. My perspective on it is a little bit different than the conversation being had here. More stuff for me and fam to play. Yeah, I get it. Nerds World in the house. October is, Bud is like, October is, what is that? Oh, hold on, I can't see. Is that like so-so? Yeah, Bud is saying October is so-so. Varying points of perspective for October's games. I would, watch my video out there to see where I'm coming from with that. It's layered, and it's not a short video. That's another reason why I don't want to get into it right here. If I would have saw that comment earlier, I would have talked about it, but it's layered. Very interesting points of view. All right, and Simpleton says, see, this is what I'm saying. It's very, and that's why I love these. He says, I personally like what I saw from the October Pro games. I like the variety of games. Expert that will appeal to many different gamers. I think, Simpleton, you put it in a way that possibly reflects what Stadia was trying to do, and maybe reflects the data that they see. and why, surprisingly to a lot of us more hardcore people that are on Twitter, on YouTube, you know, having these discussions there, why when these games are being polled, the response to them is a lot higher than we would expect it. So, all right, real quick, and then we're gonna close it out. Let me show you something. I had to put this out. So this is very interesting, and Dusty will see that this is something that I stole from Gamertag, I mean, not Gamer, OLR. Madden 23 Ultimate Team Pack Strike ends. Xerxes and the creators. Here, let's read this article real quick. Madden 23 Team Pack Strike trends. Xerxes and creators give EA an ultimatum. Madden 23 Ultimate, let me make this bigger. Madden 23 Ultimate Team leans heavily on opening the packs to earn new cards, but creators are fed up with this year's odds, with frustration reaching a boiling point amongst creators. The Madden 23 Ultimate Team Pack Strikes has laid out key demands for EA. The Madden 23 Ultimate Team creators Pack Strike kicked off by Xerxes. Another year brings another arrival in the long-standing Madden series, but Madden 23 Team Ultimate Team is drawing the ire of many. This year's game has faced bugs and criticism of franchise mode since launch, but the latest uprising targets Ultimate Team odds on September 20th. Here, I'm gonna do this too while we're reading this. Give me 1 second. Oh, come on, you got daggone keyboard. Wait 1 second. All right, so we got a poll up right now. I'm asking this question while I go through this. Did Stadia dodge a bullet in not investing in Madden 23? And the answers are yes, glad invested elsewhere. No, should have still added. Just give us your thoughts on this, and I'm gonna continue to read this. So it says, this year's game has faced bugs and criticism on franchise modes since launch, but the latest surprise targets Ultimate Team odds. On September 20th, creator Xerxes posted on Twitter that he and other creators had come together to agree on a pack strike until changes are made. The push by creators is planning to pressure EA by refusing to open packs, buy packs, or buy points to use on packs in game until changes are made. According to Xerxes, these are the demands for EA. Better rerolls, better pack odds overall with bundles and toppers. $100 version of promo bundle should be enough to complete Master Full Leg In. Solos reward with B&D Champion fantasy packs, or at least the top set pieces that can be added into sets to help NMS players. While EA has not yet addressed the situation, we're now 3 days in the movement, and it continues to trend across social media. According to an analyst of the hashtag on socialer.net, as of this writing, Pack Strike is up to 379,000 plus impressions. So impressions just mean that people are just looking to see what it's all about. Doesn't necessarily mean that something that people are going to engage in. But again, let us know what your thoughts are. Continue to vote. Again, your votes are anonymous. But what are your thoughts on this? We did a short earlier talking about this. If you didn't check it, check out our video. Did Stadia dodge a bullet with this? What do you guys think? Did Stadia dodge a bullet and not getting Madden 23? There's been a lot. Madden gets ire each year, which I think it deserves a lot of it. Not all of it. Like Madden 21 and I think 22. You know, I do think it's a ripoff that it's $60. I think a lot of these enhancements are just really worth what, $30? You know what I'm saying? Half the price that they're advertised for, $34.99 maybe now, year to year. And then, you know, every 3 years they do a full-fledged, you know, game increase. You know what I'm saying? Like it's slight incremental things, but I think Madden 23 has gotten the most ire that I've seen. I don't know what the sales are like, but let us know. What do you think about this, man? Should Madden, did Stadia dodge a bullet with Madden? Yes, glad they invested the money elsewhere, or no, they should have still had it. And to be frank, it could be possible that Stadia had to make an investment for Madden and FIFA. They decided to invest in FIFA. Maybe they saw some of these potential problems with Madden because, as we know, they heavily curate their content. And they probably said, you know what? No. We'll pick up Madden when the asking price is possibly cheaper, either when it's either justified next year or possibly next year, or when it's cheaper, like how we did it last year. We got it. We picked up Madden, I think after the Super Bowl or something like that. When it came late, when 21 came late. And I'm still playing 20. I have both 21 and 22. I'm still playing 21. Like I play 22 and 22 seems easier to play to me, but I still have a lot of fun with 21. And because 22 is not that much different. Like the running seems easier or whatever, but fundamentally, is there something fundamentally different? No. Absolutely not. So what do you guys think? Let us know. Come on, we can vote. We got 15 people watching. Only 10 votes. Come on, we can get 5 more votes. All right. So let's talk about it. I get it's not a heavy hitter month, but could be a secret gem. Yeah, that's the sentiment that a lot of people are putting out there, Sean L. Not a heavy hitter month, but you know, still decent. It's not as black and white as people are making it, definitely. What you're actually saying is that October's pros games are unappealing, or so to you, we've become so used to leaving those last 2 words out because of social media limited characters. No, it ain't that. Dusty, it's just people want their truth to be the whole truth and nothing but the truth. You know what I'm saying? Because when you say, in my opinion, see, what you got to get is social media is about attention. And when you say, in my opinion, you're just adding to a discussion in the minds of, which to me is great. But to people that want attention, they don't want to just add to a discussion. They want the discussion to be about their point of view. So what do? You say things in the absolutist form. It's maddening. Yes. Yeah, people are maddened or mad about Madden. I don't expect a home run every month. Sometimes you gotta, but yeah, I get it. I'll be here all week. Arcade Paradise and Slaycation are my most anticipated games, but I'm gonna be on the way to the Gulf Coast that day. Oh, okay, cool. Simpleton says, do you think Stadia knew this game wasn't fully baked? Exactly. Yeah. We got to remember the GameIndustry.biz article which I know things have changed since that article came out. That article came out closer to launch, where Stadia admitted that no, we're not putting it. This is not going to be a wild, wild west, they said, of content. I don't think that aspect have changed. I think this year they may have been a little bit more lenient because of the dynamic of rebuilding the system, rebuilding the load chain, or building the load change porting, and therefore trying to better identify with their demographic. I think they realized that maybe they didn't identify so well with their demographic and focusing on a lot of things that their target demo didn't want. So therefore it led to them being way off of their projections. You know what I mean? So maybe they're, you know, I think in 2022, they're being a little bit more, what is it that you guys would like type mode? You know what I mean? But I still think they're curating a lot of content. They're making the decisions on what they're going to invest in clearly. And yeah, I think they looked at the performance of Madden 22, because Madden 22 didn't seem like to be much of an improvement from Madden 21. Even though people still liked it, I still think it was a solid game, and people that are used to just buying Madden because it's the newest thing, that version is the newest version out there. You know, it's like getting the latest, you know, you got last year's Jordans. You can't keep rocking last year's Jordans, even though, you know what I'm saying, last year's Jordan's still a crisper clean. You're going to go to the next one. I'm different. I stopped playing these games with these sports titles and buying them every year. I think I learned my lesson from Madden 2006. I think Madden in 2006, I think it was, I played that for 3 years. That's the first Madden that I stopped buying year after year after year. Or it's not that I bought I always bought a sports game year after year. And I stopped buying sports games year after year after year with Madden 2006, because I think I looked at 204, 205, and 206 and was like, hold on, whoa. Or maybe I looked at the next, I looked at 2007 and said, okay, this ain't no leap in 2008. So I stopped buying sports games every year, all the way back in 2006. And like NBA 2K 2009, I believe, I played that. No. I think it was 2014. Yeah, I was playing NBA 2K 2014 all the way up to 2020. You know what I'm saying? Like, not, you know, and again, there are some things that have changed since then, but it wasn't groundbreaking to me. So I stopped playing that game with these people a long time ago. And I think Stadia, yeah, you got to remember, these people have connections to developers and things that are going on, and they know what's up. I was really let down when Madden didn't come to Stadia this year, buggy or not. That's a thing to expect with release games these days. Yeah, I can relate to that. Again, there's gamers that love Madden that want it each year. I think it was a matter of Stadia looking, you know, again, they're a 1% business, so you know, the things that move the needle for the average platform may not necessarily work with them. I think they learned that early. And when you look at 21, I think a lot of people hopped on 21. When you look at 22, the things that buzz pop by me, it doesn't seem like that 22 moved the needle in the way that they needed to. And so then when they looked at 23, they just couldn't justify the investment. So it was just one of those unfortunate things as far as it not consistently being in the catalog. But again, you know, that's just the state of affairs here. It's a 1% business, and you know, as long as there has to be a significant investment to get games, This is the problem. I mean, these are the catch-22s, and these are the tough decisions that have to be made. But that's why the low change porting is so important. The low change porting is supposed to alleviate a lot of that, to where, okay, maybe Madden won't do the greatest on this platform, but we'll still get it because we're not asked to pay XYZ for it. That's what we're hoping. I think since it was going to be last gen and possible and no crossplay, they went with FIFA. I can't stand FIFA, not a soccer fan, unless it's Rocket League. Madden and NBA 2K are both letdowns for me. Wish had them both, even if they are bad. These are games that other platforms get consistently. Yeah, I think it's back to the, which I understand. I think it's best to expect that if a game has a sequel and that prior game didn't do well on Stadia while it's still a 1% business, if the game didn't make the investment worth it, it's not going to come. And they said this earlier on. So I wouldn't look at Stadia as somebody that's going to try to mimic a smaller version, a slightly smaller. This is the best advice I could give, because we don't want to sell people the platform for what it isn't. We want to let you know what it is. Don't look at Stadia as a platform that's looking to be a slightly smaller version of a mainstream platform, because that's not sustainable. A slightly smaller version of a mainstream platform is something that's around 20 to 30% of the business. You understand what I'm saying? Slightly smaller is 20 to 30% of the business. When they get to 20, 30% of the business, then you can expect them to be a slightly smaller version. But you're going to get, but what you're going to get at 1 to 10% is curated content, meaning content that, you know, may not be as plentiful as the mainstream platforms, but you're going to get the best of the best, hopefully. That's what they're building to in these early years. And when they say the best of the best, we mean the platform, the games that are the most critically rated that also perform well on the platform. They're not going to get and keep franchises that don't push units for the platform. And if you have a situation like Madden, well, I'll say this: if it doesn't push units versus cost, that's where the business side gets into it. And again, I know this still doesn't remedy the disappointment for most, but it again help better understanding what is this what is it providing now? What is it looking to provide right now? I think looking at the evidence will better help in your decision making and expectation. Yeah, I definitely would have liked to see, I wanted to see more 2K support. I don't know what 2K, I think, is a different animal. I think what 2K is they want to support Stadia. They want to try it. But, and this is what I'm blaming. Again, I have no proof of this, but you know, I'm good at noticing patterns. I think Jason Schreier's report had a lot to do with why 2K is backed off their support. think it does. I think once they discovered what the competition was making in comparison to what they were getting, they didn't like it. And they said, okay, well, you didn't reach the 1 million active user milestone that you promised us, and you're giving these jokers XYZ and only quote unquote giving us this. Give us more if you want us to continue to support the platform. I think that, along with the closure of SG&E, which led to the ending of the relationship for the query, left a sour taste in 2K's mouth. If 2K, I'm not 100% sure about this, but if 2K, if they were involved in publishing the query still, like through this, like if this wasn't going to be a Stadia, game, like if 2K was involved in the publishing and or the creation somehow, like 2K was involved in the creation, or one of their studios were involved in the creation, or they were part of the publishing, and or they were part of the publishing, I imagine that the two of those things, this is different because we've seen a lot of references to Stadia in job descriptions and investment reports going on. You don't make that, you don't mention that, especially on the investment side, if there's not plans to do things in the future, or if you're not seeing something substantial from them. And if you're seeing something substantial from them, then of course, again, they go hand in hand. If you're seeing something substantial enough from them, or something promising from them, then of course you're going to want to continue the relationship at some capacity. And I don't think it's just from support and legacy stuff. So I do think that ultimately they do want to do something with the business, but right now it just doesn't make sense to them. And I think the things that don't make sense are until this low change porting thing becomes more plausible, you got to pay us. Because if you're going to give them jokers that much, then this is what we want. And then lastly, I think, and then we're going to close out, is I think that the deal with the query, if they were involved, I don't know what 2K, I don't know if Take-Two or whoever, I don't know if Take-Two was involved or any of their studios were. If they were involved when Stadia abandoned that deal, then yeah, that could have been the icing on the cake for the moment. So yeah, I definitely wanted to see, not necessarily the sports games, but Tiny Tina's Wonderland and a lot of the other stuff that was happening. It was disheartening to hear Randy Pitchford pitch his foot in his mouth and say the things that he said. But again, his comments are reflective, not necessarily of the facts of the platform, but the conversations that were being held internally over there at Take-Two or 2K or Gear. Yeah, they're reflective of those conversations. You don't say that. You don't make those comments publicly when you're, and I get that Take-Two is still the publisher of the Borderlands stuff for now. You don't make a comment like that if that's a value relationship between your publisher at the moment. So that's just a dose of the likely reality, in my opinion. I think that's the likely reality. So it still leaves the door open, but I think what's going on with 2K is a little bit different. Hopefully they'll come back. I think with EA has, given their full throated support of Stadia, as far as, liking the platform and stuff like that, and it having promise. I think what happened, and this is after SG&E. This is after SG&E they did that. I think the problem is that right now there's significant investment to get these games over here, and EA's like, yeah, you got to pay us. And Stadia's like, well, I'm looking at that, and I don't know if it's worth the money. So we'll see. But a very interesting stuff. I don't necessarily need Madden or NBA 2K or whatever Major League Baseball game exists, but I like a sports experience games like NBA Street. I never got into the NBA Street series, but I know a lot of people cherished it, and yeah, gamers in general were asking for it back. So we'll see. Hopefully something like that does come. I know 2K is working on something because they don't have the license yet. Like it kind of got like renewed for a few more years with EA, but I know 2K is working on NBA Street or NFL Street type game. So we'll see. Now, if we were to have gotten the Last of Us, for example, instead of Madden, I would be fine with that. But those type of games still didn't come either. That's interesting. So, okay. So I guess what you're saying is, because we know that The Last of Us is an exclusive. So I guess what you're saying is the big ticket games didn't come. All right. So in 2020, I don't think you're talking about 2020. In 2020, not all of the games, but damn well the biggest games of 2020 landed on the biggest, at least name recognition wise. It's just, you know, the games didn't meet expectations. You know what I mean? But those games landed. Like Stadia got, Jesus Christ, Ubisoft was cranking out games, so they got all of those. They got Marvel. They got, you know, they did get the 2K21. They got, what do you call it? Cyberpunk or whatever. So I know we're not talking about 2020. So let's look at 2021. All right. So 2021, arguably, I mean, Call of Duty, I think Call of Duty and Fortnite, we can leave off the table because those are likely not to be coming. But the biggest games of 2021 were arguably Resident Evil and Battlefield. Outriders and this is outside of the sports games. Well, no, I don't want to. No. Okay. So the biggest action games were for 2021 were what was the EA game that came out late? Oh, okay. All right. So here's arguably the biggest games of 2021. We can't leave out Hitman, even though it came out earlier. Hitman was a huge success for the company. And yeah, it was a huge success for the company because that game, it just came out earlier in the year. But Hitman, Resident Evil, Outriders, Far Cry 6, Battlefield, and Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy. I think I named 6 games, not including the sports games. I think I named 6 games. Out of those 6 games, we got 4. Then you throw in Madden and FIFA on the sports side, even though we didn't get the 2K sports games. And that's 8. So 8 out of a potential 12 we got. When you talk about big ticket games, I'm not just talking about games that have got attention. When you mention games like The Last of Us, you're talking about the creme de la creme of that year. So out of the creme de la creme for 2021, we got those games. We got 8. Let's do the math. So you divide 8 by 12. So we got about 67% of the creme de la creme games, which is a majority. Then you go into 2022, and the creme de la creme games would be, I would say, I mean, this is a slower year. So we're going to say Dying Light 2, Evil Dead. I think Evil Dead is fair. We're going to say Elden Ring. Nah, I wouldn't put Evil Dead in there. I'm going to say Dying Light 2. Dying Light 2, Elden Ring. We all know that this was a big year for indies because a lot of mainstream content creators told us. So then there was Elden Ring. What's it called? Dying Light 2. Then there's Saints Row, FIFA, the Resident Evil content, and I'm trying to think what else. I'm trying. Oh yeah. Okay. In the 2K games. So there's two. Okay. So that's 2K 6, then Madden 7. Then there's Skull and Bones 8. So out of 8, we've gotten, no, there was 9. There's 9. So out of the big, I would say Rainbow Six Extraction. And again, when I say big ticket, I mean big attention, creme de la creme of the year. These are the games that are going to grab the most attention. So Rainbow Six Extraction, Elden Ring, what else? We're going to say Dying Light 2, Saints Row, FIFA, Madden, NBA 2K, PGA Tour. Well, did we consider PGA Tour? Okay, 2K, Madden and 2K. I wouldn't consider PGA. I mean, it's a great game. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think that's getting a lot of attention. Because I didn't include PGA in my 12. I didn't include 20. Okay, so we're going to leave that off. In my 12, PGA 21 in my 12 from before. Skull and Bones. So that's 8. So out of the 8, we got Saints Row, Resident Evil content, FIFA, Skull and Bones. So that's 50%. So yeah, I mean, we went down from 67% last year to 50%. But I don't know if the assessment it's the assessment is interesting to me. I'll put it like that. But they said those type of games still didn't come either. They did come. We want to get more of them. Yes. I'm just thinking of the wording there. I don't know if the wording is 100% accurate. The big ticket games came, just not as much as we wanted. Like, we're at 50%, so that means that there were 4 more that could have potentially come that we wanted. So I didn't pay Ultimate Teams ever, and never will I just play Madden, period. I'm really glad Stadia added 5 new games to Pro. I'm thinking stealth drops in the month of October. Yeah, I think, again, you know, as we talk about the reaching 100 games, I think we're going to see something similar to 2020, where we're going to see a lot of stealth drops. Madden 23 is terrible, and Madden 22 on Stadia plays better. I'm hearing that a lot. I mean, the way Madden 22 plays to me is great. It's just that it's not that much of a leap for 21. I mean, well, I don't play it. My grandson plays a lot, so he's happy. But yeah, if 23, I'm hearing a lot of bad stuff about 23. And let's just say if the money that would have been used to get Dead Island 2 would have been used instead to get Madden 23, if I ever would have discovered that, I'd have been upset. Because again, in a perfect world, a 1% business can get both, can get all of them. But again, I wouldn't look at a 1% business as something that's going to be a slightly smaller rendition of something that's 100 times bigger. You know what I mean? Like, I think we need to start looking at Stadia and cloud gaming more realistically. And don't get me wrong, like, for instance, I get it. GFN is getting access to more of these games, but they're not getting all of them either. If we're talking about, like, they're not getting the sports games, and they're not getting all the action games either, to where at least we're getting some of the sports games and some of the action games, to where when you look at everything in totality, we're either getting at least half or a majority of the big ticket games coming out that year. So it's a 1%, and again, I can't blame Geforce now for that, or you know, it's a 1% business. And I think Sunny Cloud said it best. They're all having an uphill fight getting games on the platform because they're a 1% business. FIFA 23 is the bigger investment and will pay off. Yeah. I think I've seen enough. I'll put it like this. I've seen enough that where I completely, like, slightly disheartened as personally as a gamer, because I would like to know that Madden is coming each year, but I understand the business decision, so that's why I don't. It doesn't even, you know, bother me too much. Google needs to hash out the difference with Epic. I wish Rocket League was on Stadia. The difference with Epic. This is where one of those things where I would like point vigorously to the business aspects of it, you know, where I was talking about Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and all of this stuff. And it's a lot more complicated than hashing it out. What Epic wants in order to support Stadia, a 1% business in the gaming sector, is they want Google to invest in their own proprietary store security wise and offer everything that the Google store offers as far as security and comfortability and all that other stuff, but Google don't take a percentage. That's what Epic is offering in order to put games like Fortnite on. That's not going to happen. That just doesn't make any business sense. Now, would that possibly help raise Google's stake in the gaming market? Oh yeah. I think they would go from 1% to 3 to maybe 5%, because I think Fortnite would be great on stake, but you don't give that up for 5% of the business. What Epic needs to do, what Tim Sweeney needs to do rather, and I think it's a lot of our seeing of this, even though it is unfortunate and it may be disheartening, I think the onus needs to be pushed back on these creators or these whole. Tim Sweeney cannot be excused here. With all this, I'm for the freedom of gaming crap that he says all the time. He's a liar. He is a bona fide liar. I've been covering this guy well before Stadia was even known to be in existence. He is a bona fide liar, and he cannot be trusted. He's a smart guy, and he is revolutionizing gaming in a lot of ways, but he is a phony and a fraud just as equally, and he cannot be trusted. And expecting to give up so much on the majority of your, or on a bigger sector of your business to get something with such a low ceiling, no business would agree to that. It says 2K is a beast. Wish the new NBA 2K game was on Stadia. Yeah, I was interested in trying it this year. And yeah, that's one that I think is very, it's disheartening just not seeing on Stadia. There's no doubt about that. I just hope, now again, opposed to Epic, I'm not blaming 2K on this one. I think I can, because I did lash out on 2K in the past, but I partially get it. I mean, as a business, if these prices are revealed of what you're paying everyone else, your investors are going to say, well, aren't you going to go get more? This is only a 1% business. If they're giving Ubisoft this much money, they better give you this much more. Strauss Zelnick is in between a rock and a hard place when it comes to that, right? And I equally don't blame them if they were involved. Again, I don't know this for sure, but if they were involved in the original business deal and Google reneged on it, then yeah, I totally get it. Them backing away and said, whoa, hold on. We want to do business with y'all, but no, not like this. Y'all got to get it together. I get that point. And Google, but the heartening sign is Google is working to get it together in those regards. 2K yanked GTA and Red Dead off of Game Pass. They are unpredictable. Yeah, and not too. Like, they're not going to play with you long. If they're like PlayStation. They don't. If it's not working out for them and they think it's clear cut, they're yanking it. Just like PlayStation yanked God of War off of GFM. Let's keep it a buck. 2K did a poor job with their Stadia ports. I enjoy 2K games, but I don't want to buy just because of a name. And yeah, I think that's part of it too. Like, they thought they could get away with the poor support, and when it got advertised, yeah, that I think, yeah, that was more than they could chew at the moment. All right, so much more, but we got to go because we got to let y'all get a break between now and so much more I wish I could cover. Y'all are fantastic. Great conversation with all of y'all. Johnson, Wofford, Crow Resident, everybody, Geek to Sneak, Sean L, Ron Slusher. Thank y'all so much, man. This is great. This is what I want this open mic to be from here on out. This the latter part of the show. Yeah, I went on a little bit of tangent earlier. But we're going to get less and less of that and more of this. All right, y'all. The poll is closed. 65% of y'all said you're glad they invested elsewhere. And 35% of y'all said no, they wish it was still here. So, all right, y'all. With that said, I appreciate this. Thank you so much. Again, I'm going to launch. You'll have enough time to still watch this video or just watch it later. But for the members, we're going to release our Cyberpunk video. It's about 35 minutes long. but very interesting, because I show you guys some conversations that I've had, or that were being had on some of the content, and it poses a great theory and a great question. So check that out. We're dropping that